So, hello guys, today I'm here to bring you the Ryzen review, but it's going to be a really short review. I'm just going to use pictures and graphs because it's a really simple review. On this review we're going to pitch the Ryzen 5 1400 against the Intel i5 3570K at 4.5 GHz to keep the older model overclocked, because I think anyone that is still rocking an Ivy Bridge setup is going to have i5 3570K at 4.5 gigs or more. So we're going to start by watching the CPU benchmarks, and bear in mind that these are both setups that have 16 gigs of RAM. One of them is running the RAM at 2800 MHz, which is the Ryzen 5 1400 setup, and the other one, the Intel setup, is going to be running 16 gigs of DDR3 at 2200 MHz. The first of our benchmarks is Cinebench, a benchmark that is commonly used due to its rendering features and simulating rendering a file, for example a video file. Obviously this benchmark favors the Ryzen 5 because it has more threads, which means it can do the work faster, and it also has a faster instruction per clock architecture than the old i5 3570K. Even then, the i5 3570K at 4.5 GHz still manages to keep up with the Ryzen 5 when it's at stock, but when it's overclocked it's completely no match for the Ryzen 5 1400. Up next we have SuperPi, an old overclocker's favorite. As you might know, this benchmark is mostly single-threaded, and that's where the higher clock speed of the 3570K makes the difference. Because in order to calculate 32 million digits of pi, it only takes about 470 seconds compared to the Ryzen 5 670 seconds when overclocked. This is an old benchmark though, so its results may not actually reproduce in the modern environment. Up next we got WinRAR, the favorite program that no one ever buys. We can see that the Intel edges out the Ryzen 5, mostly due to single clock speed, because it's still a 700 MHz difference between the both. But the result does only differ in about 300 in terms of score. So we can see that they are neck to neck. Up next we got Endbreak, an encoding tool. Here we can see that the fact that we have more threads, even though we have a lower clock speed, helps the Ryzen 5 tremendously, because even at stock speeds it manages to outclass the Intel i5 3570K. Octane is a benchmark from Google that allows you to see the performance of the CPUs in JavaScript environments. This means that usually higher clock speed is king, and as you can see that's the case, because the 3570K manages to edge out even the overclocked Ryzen 5, but if the Ryzen architecture could clock higher, I'm sure that we would be able to catch the Intel architecture. Although benchmarks might be fun, the thing that most people do in their computer is gaming, so we decided to test some PC games to see how they check out. First we're going to start by Assetto Corsa, that clearly favors the higher clock speeds of the 3570K, at least on a resolution that our RX 480 is completely not stressed out, because you can see that at 720p we got 180 FPS while we only have 140. But as we go up in resolution up to 1600p, we get less and less importance of the CPU and more load goes onto the graphics card. And as you can see, as we go up in resolution, the minimum FPSs actually are better on the Ryzen 5 rig due to a newer architecture and more threads to even the load. We used Cry Primal mostly due to the inbuilt benchmark, but as we can see, it mostly favors the Intel architecture because it has higher speeds all around and even higher minimum FPSs. So the last game we decided to test is Overwatch. We thought that the 3570K would have much better results, but apparently the Ryzen 5 overclocked has really gotten the best results, even better on minimum FPSs, which is to be expected since this game supports up to 6 cores and 12 threads, but lower resolutions, we still managed to get insane results for such a lower clocked CPU. So, in conclusion, even though we see that new technology clearly starts edging out older Intel products, we think that the Ryzen 5 is in a bit of an unfair position, because for a bit more you get more L3 cache, which will be useful in games, and you can also buy the more expensive but really more worth it Ryzen 5 1600, which has 6 cores and 12 threads, which I think is the next upgrade for those of you that are rocking still an old quad core. because as you can see, it's not worth to switch if you still have like an Ivy Bridge system that has nice clocks, because it can still hold its own against this new system. I guess if you want us to test anything else, we only have right now the Intel CPU, but we would be happy to help if you have any further questions. So see you in the next video, guys.